Cutthroat Massage. We are here. Welcome back to the Raw Grass Podcast. Hope everyone out there is doing great. I have a special guest here. If you can, just kind of say who you are and all the stuff you do.
My name's Gehrig Remigio. I'm a massage therapist here in Southern California, the Temecula area. Been in massage for going on 22 years now, and I own the business known as Cutthroat Massage here in Maria, California.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've got hurt a few times, and yeah, he just works wonders. Either his hands, he's got, I would say, a lot of options that he actually does on whoever, either neck, back, feet, arms, whatever. And yeah, it's just, I would say it's for what you do. There's, I would say it's not out there huge yet. It's there, it's seen, but it's not something like, oh, my neck hurts because I have bad posture from work, and then you're like, oh, this is tight, and now you get headaches and all that extra stuff, which we will hop into more. But yeah, so let's just kind of come, I would say, a bit back to kind of, I guess, where and how you kind of seen this as something you wanted to do.
Oh man, I mean, for me, massage has always been something that I looked at as like, okay, that's not a job, it's more of a lifestyle. It's more of a calling, more of a purpose. So for me, that's the only thing I've ever wanted to do growing up. I always just thought like, oh, okay, this, is a field that checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
You're helping people. You're working in a clean environment, so you're not like mad respect to sanitation people out there. So you're working in a clean, and probably like an ambient environment that you're working at some high-end spas, or you're working at destinations, different countries, islands. I mean, with massage itself being a universal, holistic, ancestral practice. I mean, massage has been part of the human life for since the dawn of time. It's just there's so many different perspectives, and I feel that Cutthroat Massage has been an opportunity to share that for local people in our region, and helping them, which varies from a stigma of, oh, I want to go get like a pampering massage, or I want to pay someone to rub lotion on me for an hour, and it's $200, and what benefit do what benefit do I really get from that? So I also feel that fusing massage and physical therapy, chiropractic, rehab, and throughout something like a holistic approach, and have someone taking care of you, but then also it's self-care. I mean, granted, if you could do these practices yourself, you would be in a lot better shape. So hence you see, different options for self-care, like the foam rollers and things like that, and prongs and massage tools and devices, massage guns. So basically what I firmly believe is all these replicas and biomechanic and consumer hardware is doing one thing, and it's replicating the human touch. So when you get the human touch to actually do the assessment, perform the massage on you, you are going to experience a service that's more catered towards you, rather than like a template cookie cutter approach.
Yeah, and of course, you like, I would say, being on like a hurt spot or like a sore spot, you're like, oh, I can feel it now. I would say, doing that, then actually having something, or you not knowing what you're doing, up to a point you're like, okay, this is just tight, but yet you're like, oh, it's up here, that's all one. Oh, it's up here that needs work, but you're not sure. So I would say, for you to, I guess, like how you're saying, to help us out, and you actually know what's going on with the body, is so, it's huge.
I've been very fortunate in having some great mentors under my belt. I study under a lot of the athletic sports world. Also, just being so immersed in wanting to be in massage and helping and healing. I spent a lot of time in massage school learning more medical terminology, more anatomy, human anatomy.
Okay.
And it's pretty interesting how a lot of the principles cascade over all the other licensures, like the chiropractors and the physical therapists. And being in this new physio world is massage is not necessarily just luxury, it's recovery. And I feel like in this like time now, like people are exposed to information and knowledge, they just need help getting there. And I strongly believe there are 4 principles with getting massage body work. Stretching, take care of yourself, stretch, or there's stretching therapists or stretching assistances that can to help you. There are activation, so not necessarily you go hire a personal trainer or go lift a bunch of weights, but get your muscles to activate, get the fibers that are kind of comfortable laying dormant like this, but when you activate and have intention to have flexion, you're expanding a whole different group of muscle fibers that you wouldn't feel anything other than when you're activating it. So a lot of repetitive motion. You see a lot of occupational businesses, workman's comp, this and that.
Get paid out.
People who are in a cubicle that constantly do the same motion. Kind of the whole the thought process of living in a box. You live in home. You do this at home. You jump in a car and you're driving, commuting, and then you go from a car to a desk. So a lot of these muscles are being overactivated in one way. So activation, your full system, to where you have range of motion. If you see contortionists or trapezist people bend backwards, and you say, "Hey, like that's impressive," they do something I can't. But essentially, God created our bodies to do everything that it's intended to do. So going backwards, doing cartwheels, inverting, is something we all can do. However, it's just teaching our body to get there. And our bodies, don't come with a manual, but there are certain movements that we do habitually that create more harm than good for us. So if you're the type to reach for something, are you reaching with your hand? More than likely, because your hand is the primary function. But evidently, it's not your hand that does anything. Reach me with your hand.
Yeah, it's like
no, just your hand. You went with the hand.
but it's
exactly, because the hand can't do anything. It's more of the function of your system. Your center of your system, goes from proximal to distal. So distal being the furthest, which is also going to equate the weakest. So what I'm getting at is that we're not taught how to use our bodies. We're not taught how to function and be confident in movement. Because if I ask, someone asked me to do a backflip right now, my body's going to spasm, it's going to shake, it's going to shimmy, it's going to sweat, and I'm probably going to hurt myself when in my head because I don't do that. But because I don't do that, my body says I don't do that. So if you see how people are able to kind of just adapt to movement, or I know we'll get to this later, but doing different sports and activities such as like jiu-jitsu, learning to be uncomfortable in certain areas that that you're not supposed to be in, but however you maintain, you survive, and you prevail. So part of the cutthroat massage, is I'm your demolition guy. I see and assess, we test, and then from there we apply the principles that antagonist muscles, synergist muscles, and groups that are going to affect that function. Someone I looked up to in my massage career and is known across the globe is Ida Rolf. And she is the founder of Rolfing, which is the most vigorous, uncomfortable, unpleasant body work that is going to have you jump off a table. And her famous saying was, "Where it is, it ain't." So as we kind of fostered earlier, that I have a pain here. Okay, let me just do that, but the pain is still there. Everything's going to come up to another level. So whether we're speaking of wrist pain, well, my checkpoint would be, okay, let's assess from the wrist up. Okay, still feel pain. My next chin point would be from the wrist to the elbow.
Okay.
Because guess what? As we function, it's all going to end up probably somewhere in the center of your body.
It's all in one. It's all, yeah. Okay.
So with Ida Rolf's techniques, and where Cutthroat Massage is very inspired and carries on a lot of principles is, it's not always going to feel good.
No, it doesn't.
Trust me. It didn't feel good how it happened.
Yeah.
But it's also not going to feel good correcting it.
Yeah.
And in this physiological world, and for me, it stems more from outside the country. So your Europe practices, your Asian practices, more global practices, that have been kind of the foundation of massage bodywork in the States. Because you go to Massage Envy or Massage Green,
it feels good,
and you ask for the Swedish massage. Yeah, because the origin is in Sweden.
Yes.
You go and ask for a shiatsu massage or acupressure massage. Well, the origin is, more Asian.
Okay.
And then Arvardi massage, which is more in India.
Okay.
So globally, we've all been having this these practices, and in America we have this melting pot. Now it's like, okay, we have so much knowledge now to take care of ourselves that I feel my strength is, working more towards, the sports recovery of people, because the people who work their bodies the most, well, they need someone that's going to match their intensity in their recovery. As hard as they go is just as hard as I would need to go. And and it's like the old saying, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And there's certain people that I work with, and a lot here at Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu here in Temecula, that they're out there rocking their bodies every day, training hard for tournaments.
Smashing. Thanks. No, I'm kidding.
Spreading it like jelly and toast.
Hard. Okay.
And guess what? They're pushing their bodies through certain muscular limitations that they're not going to get anywhere else until they train. But guess what? They're constantly training and building these calluses, working through these injuries, so that way they're just doing what they love to do.
Yeah.
They live, breathe,
jiu-jitsu,
the art.
Yeah.
And from jiu-jitsu to football, and I have a range of people that I see here in the community. Like, I've seen 9-year-olds that are travel football players that go to different states to win championships within their age bracket. I've worked with people like women with like gymnasts here locally. There a lot of young females that are aspiring to be gymnastics. That's awesome. For college and for their future, and same thing with males in that realm. So it a lot of people feel like, okay, you just work with jiu-jitsu, or you just do like athletes or sports therapist approaches.
Yeah.
But really, it's anyone who's ever had like an injury or a traumatic experience with their body, that because the muscle has a memory, and it's a lot of people heard, my muscle has memory, I'm going to go back to the gym and get my biceps back. True, but your muscles always also carry trauma from emotion, trauma from your past, where you were 4 years old and you went ice skating for the first time, and you slipped and fell on your bum, and the old saying in those days was just walk it off. You'll be fine.
It's fine.
Shake it off.
And then you're all tweaked up. Yeah.
And then you lived with that your whole, like, your body goes through a trauma and it adjusts. And the body is so resilient and adaptable that you just learn to deal with it. And people learn to sit with pain and live with pain and do occupations that create pain. So the body, it needs its own time. It needs its own therapy. It needs, you don't have to sit with pain anymore. You don't have to live with pain.
Yeah.
But you do have to take responsibility for it and be accountable to make corrections and changes. I like to view myself as like a demolition guy. I like to go in there, assess, test, break down the muscle group. This is something you're not going to get, in many places. Your cookie cutter box places are going to just we don't do that type of work. I'm not comfortable doing that way.
Yeah.
Anyone who can assess the body, test the body, understand the human anatomy of the body, and have the right materials and know-how. And it's all about communication with your person.
That's so big. Yeah.
Your person is screaming off the table. Do you keep going? No, you don't. But you do check in and say, hey, I see you're breathing a little bit. How's everything? You want less, more? Yeah. And then you just have those who are just committed and just like, hey, just give me everything you can give me.
Yeah.
Because they've tried everything.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of successes in my period. I have to bring up this fella yesterday. He's a tennis pro, and he teaches tennis here locally.
Nice.
And I tore his elbow apart in a good way, where I feel I assess, I approach, I take it apart, and more importantly, I clean it up, and then I put it back together. And in my theory and how I approach body work, there's always an issue. There's a cause for the issue.
I like that.
Let's correct the issue, and then we return.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the issue, but we return, the appendage or part we're working on back to the person, so that way they can continue using it the way they fully function. And if they tend to, have setbacks, meaning like it returns.
Okay.
Well, there's a frequency. There's a formula to everything. So, with the actual body work, cryotherapy is huge. Cryotherapy is super important for your muscles and body. There's a lot of studies right now going around saying icing and heat are your best ways to go.
Okay.
You just need to figure out which way it promotes more positivity for you. If you're able to find a hot pool and a cold pool next to each other and plunge back and forth, you are like boosting up your immunity system. You are increasing the ability to recover. You're inducing the ability for your health and immunity to the point where you feel better, and it's not something that's accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
But this gentleman, this tennis pro, I haven't seen him in 6 months since the last time I worked with him, and hearing his process, hearing his story, and he's telling me now that he's virtually pain free.
Wow.
We did a little tune up on his elbow yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. Once you have some kind of trauma in you, you're gonna or within your muscle system. It's something you have to take responsibility for. It's something you can repair. It's something you can strengthen, and it's definitely something that you're going to continue to use. So finding that balance of when to have therapy, it should be just as much as you service your vehicle. Because this is our body is our vehicle.
You got a lot of people who don't even do their oil changes to and then it's like, oh, it's a sludge.
And segueing into more like cupping.
Yes.
When you work with cupping, you see that sludge from people. So we have some higher tech cupping tools here.
This is really cool stuff.
And nowadays, these cupping tools, they'll do the work for you. So, with the right approaches, breaking down the tissues, I use these cups in movement, which is called dynamic sports cupping.
Okay.
Also, static, where we place them around you.
Yeah.
And then we have automation. We have stronger suction now. Let me think of what else.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I would say it's helped me. I'm sure it's helped so many people out there.
So with the cupping approach, you'll see internally the sludge. When someone who hasn't had cupping done before, or someone who has an injury or trauma, that they're allowing things to heal and repair, without correction. With the cupping, with the movement of cupping, you start to see the blood flow with all the capillaries and soft tissue that's kind of constricting the body's ability to circulate naturally. So the darker the circles, the worse your system is in that site. So sometimes, we see like purples, darker colors. And then, and I've worked with a great group of people that they, have been maintaining their services, and now it's like we don't really need to cup because we're seeing more healthy circles. You want to see a more red, flush, blush color when it comes to getting cupping and after receiving cupping, and that identifies, a healthy, system. Once you start seeing like the spottiness or the darkness of the circles, that shows where there's stagnation. People always say, oh, it's cupping bruises. And yes, topically your skin is going to feel a little sensitive with the suction, because it feels like literally like a vacuum grabbing you and pulling your skin up. But, there's a cost for a little discomfort here.
Yeah.
So while it's grabbing, internally, it's lifting the muscle, fat cells, tissue, skin layers off of your arteries, off of your nerves. So that way your nerves can be freer and feel more comfortable in your system.
I haven't thought of it like that.
So we're repositioning.
Okay.
A lot of people feel like, it's breaking up adhesions. What we're focusing, targeting is called what's fascia tissue.
Okay.
Fascia tissue is made out of three things: elastin, collagen, and ground substance. What I like to, everyone kind of hears elastin because that's your stretchy. Collagen is more like a filler. There's a lot of new procedures out there that people are taking injections for collagen, for more,
like for lips,
for more aesthetics and cosmetic pleasing purposes.
It's all good.
But what people don't really know is ground substance is, and the ground substance is what I like to kind of compare to as like a mucus. It's a solvent.
Okay.
When it's cold and not moving, it hardens.
Yes. Okay.
When it's warm and kind of active, it liquefies. So this portion of the fascia kind of travels into joints, travels into tendons. It gets in the way of function. So that's kind of what I like to target mainly, because that's what people are feeling. They're feeling they can't move. They get out of bed and crack, 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 crack.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I cracked my back. Well, no, it's not, because it's not necessary to crack your back. That takes a lot to do. And granted, there are other ways to do it, but what you're feeling is fascia tissue kind of snapping and pulling, kind of like, I don't know, like Spider-Man's web, like a circus net that kind of like, it has elastin but also has tightness. But guess what? It has give. So,
yes.
Because you're never going to get rid of fascia tissue.
Okay.
Fascia tissue is not just one sheath that's, it just covers your layer. No, that sheath is multiplied thousands and thousands of times. And guess what? Over a period of time, just like anything, what weighs more? 100 pound of feathers or 100 pound of bricks? It's the same thing. Pressure is pressure.
Yeah.
So it's hogging up capacity in your function. So I, here at Cutthroat Massage, really focus on those areas where we shift the tissue, so that way you can go back to doing what you're doing in the mobility and the range of motion capacity that you are comfortable with and used to. A lot of the assessments I do is, before and after. Tell me what you can't do when you walk in, and I'll show you can when you leave.
Yeah.
And usually, the feedback and more of the educational process is me informing people what they can do better with their lifestyle, what they can do better to not have to, receive a vigorous treatment. My goal is to see people once a month and potentially have them give them just like a deep tissue, or give them a Swedish, more of a, mental health focus on reducing anxiety, stress, triggers, because that all leads to cortisone, which helps people inflame. They get puffed up, they feel stressed. So but for now, what I'm really focused on and helping people with is their primary issues. And after surgery, they're coming in and getting treatment from me. After rehab, they're getting their body work for me to maintain their healthy lifestyle, to maintain their goals, to maintain their focus. People that are in the gym every day, they tend to need this type of work. And some people feel like if they rest and stop, they rust. And some do. Some people need the motion in their body, because motion is the lotion to be healthy. If you're sedentary and you're lying in bed all day and not really doing much, or not running or activating your body in some kind of physical activity, your body's going to start to shut down.
Just going to be like, hey, I'm good. I don't need to.
We don't do this anymore. We don't climb trees anymore. But, it's like, like my shoulder hurts.
My rotator cuff.
And, it doesn't have the same, dynamic, feeling anymore. But guess what? It's because you stopped doing something. So using jiu-jitsu as experience, I tell people all the time, like, once you start training, you're gonna have to train for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else like it out there, where you're gonna be on a mat, using your full entire body system to defend, to survive, to mobilize. You're not gonna find that anywhere else, really. So, if you're someone who used to do ballet, growing up as a child, and walking on your toes was a daily thing, I hate to inform you, when you become much older and you just you throw out the ballet shoes, you're gonna have foot problems, because you trained your body system to perform a certain way, and now you're removing that, so your body is gonna fill all those gaps, all those crevices with tissue, because it's telling itself, we don't do this anymore.
Oh.
So when that happens, you're gonna resonate some pain, and you're gonna tell yourself, well, I don't know why, and I've done everything I possibly can. I'm healthy, I'm this, I'm that, but it's just the mobility portion with your body. You program your body to become.
Wow, that is, first of all, that's a lot right there. That's just that's just going. I'm just like, I somewhat know how the body works from doing arm bars, kind of stuff, like the thumb up and all that kind of stuff. So, how did you learn all that stuff? Like, just in school, or you were around certain people who knew, and you were just like, I want this knowledge. I want this because.